Today I'm here at the Thermalito Afterbay, just downstream from the Oroville Dam and spillways. The whole idea of this Oroville Afterbay is a large, shallow body of water that's warmed up by the sun to be used by one of the first customers of the water from Oroville, rice farmers, just downstream from us. So let's check in with Rice Farmer TV, Matt Schlagar, Schlagar's Farm. It's mid-October and rice harvest season is in full swing. Check it out. My name's Juan Brown and you're watching the Blanco Lirio channel. All right, it's Schlagar's Farm, man. I ain't going to work on Schlagar's Farm no more.
Captain Brown,
what are you doing, man? Yeah.
Man, your camera's filming my
Yeah, what happens when you get two vloggers going at the same time? You get massive interference. Look at this. Let's go for a spin.
Slam it, my man.
Yeah, did I not slam it enough? There you go. Excellent.
Hey, we got no time for formalities. We're just gonna start cutting.
We gotta get to going, man. Time is money around here.
Time is running. Okay.
Fire this mother up.
Separator engaged.
In part one of this special series, Matt taught us more about rice farming in 20 minutes than I've learned in a lifetime of living in Northern California.
Oh man, now we gotta fire up the front end, the head of this thing.
In part two of this series, we'll go over how water is used and recycled on Matt's farm. We'll discuss some of the yields that Matt's getting and some basic farm economics and answer that age-old question of brown rice versus white rice.
Flyby, man. That's a pretty cool flyby. We're in this turbulent
But first, Matt has a great story about how he returned to help run the family farm.
That's dirt. Dirt and rice dust. So Matt, you're a third-generation rice farmer now here at Schlagar Farms?
Yeah, that's right, third generation.
So how big has this operation grown to over the years? How big are you at present?
Oh man, well it started with my grandpa and he owns 300 acres and my dad and my uncle, they both farm rice. Our operation, and there's separate operations between ours and my uncles and my cousins, but my cousins and uncle farm about 1,600 acres and we farm about 1,600 acres. So from 300 acres of my grandpa's ground, we now have an operation of over 3,200 acres within the Schlagar family.
Now you and your dad are running 1,600 acres?
1,600 acres,
and
yes.
So it's you and your dad and one other full-time employee are the only full-time, right?
Correct.
And then seasonally?
And then seasonally during planting, because we of course have all the tractors in operation, and harvest when we have all the tractors in operation and trucks, we have about 10 employees total.
Right, for the season.
Yeah.
So you're using a lot of water and you're using a lot of diesel fuel. What are your biggest expenses in rice farming?
Oh man, that's just all adds up, you know.
Yeah.
We pay a lot in seed. We got to buy our seed. We got to pay for our fertilizer, our pest management applications because we got weeds that are growing out here.
That means aerial application.
Aerial, yeah, both seed, a lot of fertilizer, and our pest management applications all get flown on by crop duster. So yes, we need to pay for every single flight.
That's got to be expensive.
Yeah, maintaining these harvesters is buying the harvester in the first place.
Yeah.
A new one of these can cost up to $600,000. Maintaining it on an annual basis because they go through a lot of wear and tear throughout the season is expensive. Just keeping them running is expensive. Certainly diesel is one of those expenses, but just breakdowns, a breakdown can cost $8,000 just like that.
Wow,
You know, so
man.
depends on what it is, but they can add up real quick.
Have you ever had years where it's just been a complete bust?
Yeah, you can.
Really?
I mean, you can have a really low yield, and the price of rice, just based on the markets, can be really low, and those two negative factors working against you can culminate into a break-even type year.
Wow.
But on the flip side, we can have really great years where we have high yields, and the price of rice, due to international markets and domestic markets, it is really strong. But we just need to be disciplined and save away on the great years for the bad
be a
years.
financial planner too. To
Oh,
be
absolutely.
able to handle that kind of discipline.
Absolutely, but you can't get. I mean, you have to be a financial planner in a certain way. I mean, we need to have obviously a high operating cost because all the initial upfront investment, seed, fertilizer, pest management applications, water, tractors, employees, that all is paid for. And we're still harvesting rice, so we haven't sold any yet.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so-
you gotta,
we-
pay for those costs up front.
Yeah, we can't go for long yield, high yielding bonds or CDs or anything like that. We pretty much have to have a lot of money liquid throughout the crop year.
You got to finance yourself, in other words.
Yeah, big rule of thumb is not to have the bank financing your
That's
crop.
how you lose the farm to the bank. I
That's how you
suppose.
lose. Yeah, so it takes a lot of financial discipline to get on your feet, and a lot of years to get on your feet to where you can afford. Luckily, the FSA, the Farm Service Agency, does have a great job of helping beginning farmers, and you can get a really low interest rate through the FSA for beginning farmer loans.
Yeah.
And I had to take advantage of those my first few years, but luckily, because my dad was so established, and I came in through my previous life with some upfront capital, I was able to afford all this upfront investment before harvest.
Wow. That's got to be stressful.
Yeah,
Financial stress.
financial stress, that's right.
What was your previous life?
Well, I lived in Europe for 6 years.
Really?
Yeah, I lived
you
in
some kind of bourgeois.
Bohemian.
Bohemian.
That's
bourgeois?
right,
No,
Bohemian.
Your dad must have just about had a fit.
Well, I loved it, and he said, hey, you can do what you want. You can, after college, you got to go to college, but after that, you can do what you want. Your opportunity of farming is always going to be here. And so I took it, and to be honest with you, I did not want to move back to a population town of 6,000 people with not much to do, not much cultural insights,
Yeah.
not much social activity. If you're going to come back and farm and raise a family, yeah, good thing to do. Not something I wanted to do in my early 20s after
Yeah.
college. So what did I do? I went to Europe. I went to Prague, the Czech Republic.
Oh, wow.
I lived there for 6 years.
Huh.
Started a incoming tourist agency with 2 other guys.
Really?
We did quite well, and our most popular tour was actually a pub crawl,
Good, of course.
taking
Yeah.
young college kids out to the bars and showing them a good time. That was what I wanted to do was when I was in my 20s.
Uh-huh.
But now that I got into my 30s, I started thinking lower pace, comfort of living, small town,
Uh-huh.
family business, which,
More appealing.
it became more appealing. People change the older they get, right? So here I am, and I've got a 2.5-year-old daughter, a beautiful wife,
Yeah.
and we're doing just fine.
And now you got this whole Brazilian connection.
Right.
Explain to me about that, not to mention a beautiful Brazilian wife.
Yes, Clara's from Brazil. She's from a town called Joinville, coincidentally a large rice-producing
yeah.
state. And so every year after harvest, which is what I'm really looking forward to,
Yeah.
we take our winter break. Once the equipment's cleaned up, once the fields are ready to be just decomposing rice straw, we go to Brazil and spend time with her family and friends. And it's just absolutely awesome. I mean, we have a bed to sleep in, a table to eat at. I've made great friends down there. I love her family, so it's just really a great place to spend the winter. Because, of course, it's summer down there in the southern hemisphere.
Where are they at in their rice harvesting? They're in the middle of it, huh?
Yeah, they're right in the middle of their rice
Growing.
harvest. Yeah, and because they have such a high humidity down there, and they're so close to the equator, they actually have 2 crops of rice.
So they can do 2.
Yeah, so I make it for their first harvest of
Now,
rice.
is it a busman's holiday where you end up back out there in the fields working?
Well, I like it. I try to find things to do. We spend a month and a half down there, so I can only sit on the beach
Yeah.
so long.
I
So
get about 15 minutes of beach time, and I'm ready to go find something to do.
yeah, I'm a very similar way, being in the middle valley here. I mean, we just not not raised on beach culture. I enjoy it. I like it, but also I do get a little self-conscious when I've got a farmer's tan and I'm white. I'm pale white, and these Brazilians who are playing soccer or football all the time. They're all fit. They're all tan. They're wearing their little Speedos, you know. And I got my sunburned arms and white legs, just trying to fit in and under the umbrella, you know. Just yeah, you guys go ahead. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I don't film those. I don't vlog those.
You got to, man.
Yeah.
But how did you get hooked up with Brazil in the first place? Was that through a YouTube thing, or was that?
No, I met my wife while I was living in Prague. She was passing through.
Okay.
I was living there.
Gotcha.
I met her one night and met one of her friends whose dad was a rice farmer, and we actually sparked up conversation about rice. It was a coincidence we had, a mutual thing that was in common. I showed them around the city for the next 3 days, created a strong bond, lost contact for a couple of years. Long story short, she came back. We sparked up a long distance relationship, and it took a lot of time for us to merge our two lives together, but we finally did.
Wow.
But yeah, here comes the grain cart.
He's gonna get in position. We're filled up. We're gonna load him up.
Yep, I've extended my unloading auger out so he can just aim himself right under there.
And he knows you're ready for him now with that hanging out there, and you can keep
exactly.
You can keep rolling here.
I can. Yeah, the idea is that I don't stop. Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately, we got short passes. I'm probably going to have to stop by the time I'm unloaded, but we'll see.
He's getting in position. Look at formation flying procedures, man.
Yeah, that's right.
He's pre-contact position, just like air refueling, and here we are at 1.5 miles per hour.
Yeah, 1.7, JB. 1.7. I kicked it up a notch. I know how you like speed.
Yeah. And we're harvesting and filling all at the same time.
Yeah. The idea is not to stop, so I'm cutting.
No stopping. That's right. These big, expensive pieces of equipment are just like an airliner or a shark, as I call it in the business. They just, if it's not moving, it's not producing income. It's just eating you up in costs.
Right.
So time is money. Keep it rolling.
Right. That's right.
Keep those airlines in the air. Keep the combines in the rice.
Yeah. That's right. And we want to get done with harvest.
Yeah.
And we're not going to get done if we're sitting.
Yeah. Because we're beating the clock. You're beating the clock here. You want to get all the humidity's perfect, and before the weather changes and starts getting
exactly,
wet,
exactly.
Your whole humidity.
Yep. The rainy season's approaching quickly.
Moisture. Yeah.
He's got a pretty good pile in there, doesn't he?
Yeah. So he can take two of your loads will fill him up.
2 of my loads will fill up that huge grain tank. Yeah.
By the time he gets that dumped and back to you, hopefully he'll be ready. But you were saying the bottleneck is down there at the dryer because everybody's harvesting simultaneously?
Yes, and so therefore everyone's trucks are delivering rice. So if our trucks have to wait at the dryer in a line to unload our rice, then the truck can't get back in time, and the grain cart, he can't unload his rice, and then I can't unload my rice into his grain tank.
There he goes, man.
Yep.
Topped off, and he's out of here. Retracting the boom.
Retracting the boom, unloading auger. I'm still cutting. He's gonna go unload that rice into our trucks and trailers.
Brilliant. So back to the water issue. How we first met was through the crisis at Oroville spillway, and one of the first customers that the water from Oroville is used for is the rice farmers just downstream from the Thermalito Afterbay. The Thermalito Afterbay theoretically warms the water up enough to where rice farmers directly downstream can begin using that water. A lot of us in California think rice farming in California in a drought area, that doesn't make sense, but rice farming uses a lot less water than you might think. Why? Because you can recycle a bunch of it, right, Matt?
That's correct, yeah, and it's being held in the rice fields, and actually it's only about 2 inches deep at the beginning of the crop year, up to about 4 inches deep. So I'm not sure what the general public thinks when they drive by a rice field and see a large body of water, but it's not that deep, no.
And then you use that water throughout the season for the rice, and then at the end of the season or throughout the season, that water gets recycled, right?
Right, yes. We're using the water through the crop year to irrigate the crops. Of course, some water subs into the soil, that recharges the water table, so that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. Some, of course, evaporates as well. But once we're done with the water, we send it down south the entire irrigation system around here, it serves to where if there's any spills out of the rice fields, that it goes into other rice fields, or if it goes out of the rice growing region of Northern California, then it'll go into other, for orchards or other agricultural uses. It'll go down to the Delta and get pumped down further south for more agricultural uses or environmental programs for salmon or fish or just river habitat, or eventually it could just go out into the San Francisco Bay and into the Pacific Ocean.
And that water quality is closely monitored, not just by the farmers, but by the state and county as well?
Yeah, there is a lot of regulation, oversight, and guidelines on how we manage our water, and we're happy to do it because, you know, this is our environment too. It's actually how we make our living. So if you have any fertilizer or pest management applications, there will be guidelines for each of those, a holding pattern essentially where the water needs to stay on your field for an allotted amount of time, which would be the half-life of the pest management application or whatever we're talking about.
Because the field itself becomes the filter, right?
The field itself becomes the filter, that's right. And so the Butte County Ag Commissioner or our County Ag Commissioner, they will check and make sure they're knowing everything that we're applying in our fields. Of course, before the pest management application is brought to market, there's oversight, testing, and regulation to determine the half-life. But the Ag Commissioner, he will make sure that our fields are boarded up, mudded in, so no water is escaping. And once the water does escape, the state has monitoring systems all over in various parts of rice growing, in the rice growing region or any ag region, and they're monitoring the water quality. And of course, big cities have their water purifying plants, they're monitoring it. So there's a huge infrastructure, again, oversight, rules, and regulation, which help enforce and make sure that the water stays clean.
So across the check here, we've got a field that was not used at all last year?
Yeah, that's right. You just see the bare ground. We leveled it, so it's good for water management next year. We want it nice and level to hold the water perfectly. And the reason why we didn't plant that is because we sold the water. So we sold it to either an environmental organization that wanted it, a city municipality that was in drought concern, or other farmers down south of the state. And the fact is, this Butte County, Richville Irrigation District, just below the Oroville Dam, we are in a water-rich area. You know, the state.
You're the first guy on the tap here.
We're the first guy on the tap. Yeah, and so if other people are in concern, we do have the option to sell the water and deliver it down south. And if we sell the water, obviously we can't put a crop in,
right?
Because we don't have water to put it to feed it. So that's why you see it's laid fallow there. You got the bare dirt. We did, as I said, leveled it just to make sure we have a nice plain.
Is there a futures market on that, or is that you got to sell it for the same price you got it for, or do you make a profit? Are you allowed to make a profit on that?
That's a great question. In the irrigation district that manages the water out here, they do all the negotiating for that. And so yes, you can make a profit on that just as if you were going to raise a crop of rice. The nice thing for us is we don't have to put the stress and the hard work into raising the crop of rice to get that income. So
it's not like they're paying you to not farm. It's like it's a quid pro quo.
They're paying us for the water.
Right. So you're in exchange for water.
They're paying us for the water, and because we now don't have the water, we can't farm.
Yeah. Interesting. Man, this farming gets complicated.
There's so much to it. There's absolutely so much to it, and we're always victim to the weather.
Yeah, you're always held hostage by the weather.
Yeah.
It's always, you got to be so optimistic about that.
Yes. You can plan and plan and plan and plan, but then everything changes based on the weather patterns.
Man, oh man. Not only here during harvest season, getting the right moisture, but also in planting season and getting the timing right for planting.
Absolutely. All the way through the crop year, all the way through the crop year.
To not knock down the rice.
Right.
Or wreck it while it's growing.
Yeah. A big part is during the summertime. If we have intense heat, it'll cause excessive vertical growth to the plant and elongate the plant, and that's what helps make it
lazy
fall
rice,
over. Yeah, it was just lazy
And if
rice.
it falls over lazy rice, it's still harvestable, but it just harvests very slow.
It harvests very slow. You're putting your whole header and your reel in a precarious situation because it needs to be lower to the ground. The ground doesn't give, you know, so
Yeah,
when this
you
is
can tear it
spinning,
up. Yep.
yeah, you can tear it up. Also, you do run the risk of getting a lower quality if it's laying in the mud. That can stain the rice kernels, and nobody wants brown or blackened rice kernels in the grocery store. So again, the mill will not pay us a premium price for that rice because it'll go for pet feed, and we'll lose money on a crop if it gets damaged.
So help me understand another basic thing about rice. This is what called California long grain or medium grain?
California medium grain, specifically, yeah.
All rice is basically brown rice, or all rice is basically white rice. It's a matter of how much processing that determines the difference between brown and white?
Exactly. This is Calrose medium grain rice, and it is coming straight out of the field, so it would be referred to as rough rice. And then once it goes to the mill, the hull is removed from the rice kernel, and then you essentially have brown rice. And the brown rice has higher minerals and vitamins because of the bran that's just beneath the hull, the rice hull, the hard shell. Then the mill could process that down even further, polish it up, remove the bran, remove the vitamins and minerals, and you have white rice. It looks white once that bran is removed. So yes, white rice, brown rice comes from the same plant. It's just how much it's been milled, how much it's been processed, just as you said, yes.
All right. See, for years I thought that you either grow one or grow the other, but no, it's just a matter of processing.
Well, that's one thing that actually led me to start Rice Farming TV, because I got that question so much. Oh, you're a rice farmer? What do you grow? White rice or brown rice? I'd say, what? I grow, it's
it's rice.
It's the same thing, you know? It's just the same thing. So no offense to you out there that just learned that, because a lot of people don't know that.
I didn't know it. So.
Yeah.
And that's why you want to watch Rice Farming TV, as he puts together a fantastic program of all this information and a whole lot more. I mean, just look at that excitement right there.
Well, I mean, isn't that, I mean, just
it's
the
just
visuals out here.
hypnotizing, yeah.
Yeah. And we got beautiful landscapes out here. Out to the left, you got the coastal mountain range, which you can see on this nice clear day. Off to the right, you've got the Sierra Nevada mountain range, which you can see on this nice clear day. If you could see beyond this dryer and silo storage area, you'd see the Oroville Dam in Oroville just right beyond there.
Yeah, there's Table Mountain.
Yeah, you can see the spillway on a clear day from here if that dryer was in the way.
Is that the dryer you're going to right now, or is it?
No, that's a Bucher dryer, and its extension. We go just about 4 miles down the road to Red Top Rice Dryer, just as you're coming into Biggs.
Hey, this thing runs on diesel, right? Diesel powered?
That's correct, yeah.
And what kind of fuel burn are you talking about here?
Oh man, that's a great question. I am going right.
I finally stumped him.
Yeah, you stumped me. Well, let's
it's
see.
Important pilot stuff, man. If we flame out down here, what are we gonna do, man?
Well, I got half a tank of diesel left.
Okay, well, that's probably a lot.
I've been cutting. Man, I don't even know how big this tank is. I'd say it's.
Do you guys keep your own diesel on the farm here to run your equipment?
Yeah, we got at the main ranch. We got big diesel tanks, and then we've got trap wagons or diesel wagons.
So that dinger means we're already 70% full again.
That's correct. Yeah, that is
you're
correct.
Fast, man.
I am fast. Yeah, we get into the standing ripe rice. Look at this. Here's an advanced maneuver. I'm going to cut right up to the levee. That levee is about 3 feet tall,
so
just in front of me, and right over.
Yeah, man, because that levee's taller. You're going to cut right into the dirt, man, if you ain't careful, Schlager.
I know, man.
This is the tedious part where he's just cleaning up the edges of the field, and he had to harvest start with the middle. He wasn't able to do as an efficient of a job because of that moisture content.
Yes, the rice wasn't ripe enough, so we decided to cut the middle of the fields first and leave the edges out. The edges don't get as much wind. The wind helps dry the rice down, helps ripen it up, but it can't get through the rice as well, like on the edges next to the levee or the roads.
Here's one of your dam boxes right here.
Yep, there's a rice box. That helps us control the level of water.
So you're out there with a shovel and some boards.
Yeah, man. That's my little dam.
Yeah. And hip waders.
And hip waders, that's right. doing a lot of shovel work around those bad boys.
Yeah.
That was my first job when I was 12 years old, cleaning those things out.
We'll send Pete out here and see if he can figure it
Yeah,
out.
Pete, you're out here.
Yeah, you're next.
Internship.
Yeah.
You got to start your
That's right.
internship program.
That's right.
They have tried the wave was, you know. I'm too little.
Good. Same thing with aviation, cleaning the bottoms of airplanes.
Yeah, everything's got its dirty side of things, huh?
Dirty jobs.
Yeah. There next. After I finish this little
So there's the big semi that takes the rice to the dryer way down there. And how many loads does it take from him to fill up that
he can get filled up with 4 harvester loads.
4 harvests? So
And
2
then-
from you, 4 from him, 1 semi,
Yeah.
and there you go.
Yeah.
How many semi truckloads do you think you got out of this field?
Oh man, this is a 150 acre field. We can get, oh geez, let me see, about 24 loads.
Wow.
Sets, yeah, 24 sets of doubles full. Each set of double has around 60,000 pounds of rice in it.
Is that how you get paid, by the pound or by the?
That is correct. Our unit of measurement based on yield, so to determine whether or not we had a good crop or how we sell our rice is by the sacks, which are 100 pounds. Each sack is 100 pounds, or we call them 100 weights, abbreviated to CWTS.
Okay.
A lot of turning when we're doing
try
this.
to keep it on the road. Gonna put some white caps on the martinis over here. The
That's right.
passengers are gonna be. You'll hear about this at the back of the gate.
Heck yeah.
And then at some point you decided to put all this on YouTube.
Well, yeah, I got those questions about what's the difference between white rice and brown rice. I just have been out here in these visuals and think, man, how cool would it be to capture what I'm seeing right now?
Yeah.
So tell a story in a visual way, so therefore videos. And I love it. And I love storytelling. I studied literature at UC Santa Cruz, so I just like storytelling in general. I like creativity in general. And another thing is, believe it or not,
What?
driving around in a circle all day can get a little boring. So I got my
Get
wheels.
lots of time to think, to
Right.
contemplate.
Exactly. So I'll get my camera out and I'll multitask and I'll film something, and that's fun for me. It's fun to take my head to a creative place while I'm doing something mundane or physically demanding.
Yep. And your YouTube channel, Rice Farming TV, it's led to a few more things too. It seems like you've been getting you're getting on TV and you're getting some interviews, or you're becoming a dude in the agricultural entertainment industry.
Yeah, I guess so. I have been interviewed quite a bit. I had a weekly segment on a network last year, just going through the entire rice crop. I've gotten great support from the rice industry itself. So I've been on a panel discussion at the big rice conference, annual rice conference. It's been really awesome opportunities and doors and meeting cool people such as yourself. I mean, we're together because of YouTube, and forging personal relationships. It's really awesome, and I have to say, if it wasn't from the feedback and making friendships like with you, I don't know if I would continue doing. I mean,
it's the audience feedback that keeps you going.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
It's you guys that are watching this stuff that keeps us doing zany things like this.
It's the absolute truth, because there's only so long you can talk to yourself on camera inside a harvest combine, but if no one else is listening, you kind of start feeling silly. So thanks, guys, for not making us feel silly when we are silly.
Because this really is important work. It's a huge part of California's agriculture and the world's food basket. Rice farming in Northern California.
Cue the music.
Well, as you can tell, Matt and I had an absolute ball filming this very special edition 2-part update on the rice harvest in Northern California for 2018. And we're absolutely thrilled and delighted at the numbers of views, comments, and positive feedback already received on part 1 of this series. So be sure and like, subscribe, and share these videos, especially if you're an educator or a farmer. And if you think your local free community access television station would like these videos, let them know and we'll get them hooked up.
Like my new hat?
Here it comes.
Formation rejoin.
Formation rejoin and in position launch.
Ready, launch.